Well, I was just going to address one point broadly speaking, and I think I said this in the comments here. Um, the channel I like, shout out to Jess Pearly thing. She's been harping about this a lot lately, and I think more people need to say this. Where I get annoyed with a lot of this stuff is I feel like the whole point of it is to alleviate women of responsibility. Because if you look at the standards, like someone in there said, women want 666. What do we hear? Those are her standards. That's her not settling. That's her knowing her worth. But if a man doesn't want an obese woman, that's fat shaming. We're supposed to embrace body positivity. If we don't want a woman who's been with 20 guys, that's slut shaming. We don't want a rude, combative, disagreeable woman. That's, oh, you can't handle a strong and independent woman. But at the same time, oh, the man has to step it up. The man has to pay the bills. Man has to be the provider and protector. And it's like, why is it okay for the standards to go in one direction but not the other? And it's like, and it's a controversial thing to say about women are alleviated of responsibility, but I mean that's the only impression I can get. I mean, we've listened to Molyneux enough. The point that always comes up with single mothers, it's always presented like, oh, these women just got finessed by these guys who ran out on them. And look, I'm not going to defend deadbeat dads for a second, but I would make the point that women control who has access to sex, and if you chose to reproduce with this guy and you didn't vet properly, I mean, don't you have some say in that? And then on top of it, there's how many forms of birth control. You can still get an abortion in a blue state. You can still give up the baby for adoption. It's like there's so many ways around this, but it's like it's just presented like, oh, these innocent whipped women are just duped by men, and it's like, does that happen? Sure, but I mean every single time, I get annoyed because it's like if you want to be treated as equals, you have to take accountability too. It can't just be you have all the privileges and rights, but then everything you do wrong, well, here's an excuse, we'll bail you out. I mean, for children, sure. Like I was thinking about this earlier myself, like, children, we bail them out when they make bad decisions, but they also have nowhere near the authority. Like a child doesn't tell the parents, I want to go on vacation here. I want you to buy this. I want like, there are children who do that, but I mean, they're spoiled obviously, but it's like, we don't let a child make those decisions, but at the same time, the child doesn't have the freedom either. It's like, it works both ways. Then when you're an adult, yeah, you can go off on your own, make your own decisions, but you also have to pay your bills. It's like, the freedom, responsibility, all this runs hand in hand. You can't have one and not the other. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
that's an incendiary that's an incendiary statement, I realize, about like modern women being relieved of responsibility, but like Pearl and them harping about that, I'm just like, I don't see how that's not true. I mean,
I don't think it's that really incendiary. And this is the thing, like I think these are things of default because you you ask people in other cultures and other places about this, and it does seem to be something that people inherently know. And even by somebody saying, "Hey, your work history matters," like, "Oh, who are you? Like, what kind of status of guy are you?" And even this comment of this person, they're admitting that they understand what SMV is, even if they're focusing on one actual aspect. So this same person who said, "Consider the source currently attempting to school you on sexual market value," and to put that in quotes, doesn't actually go to bother to actually define what sexual market value is, even though Stephen had previously in several comments gone back and forth with somebody to explain specifically what SMV of a man is. Thank you for listening. This has been a clip from an actual longer recording that I'll try to leave a link to on the screen or somewhere around here where you're listening to this.
Presents. 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 Presents.
Peasants.
Okay. Okay.